afternoon, everyone. You know, I think all of us love a good one-liner, especially from a comedian. Groucho Marx once said, "You know, I never forget a face, but in your case, I'd be glad to make an exception." Mark Twain, with his usual wit, once said, "Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter." And that famous comedian George Burns, who lived to be, I don't know how old, once said, "When I was a boy, the Dead Sea was still sick." Beautiful one-liners. We remember them so well. In today's gospel, I think we have one of the most profound one-liners of all, given by Christ himself. Then, our Lord says, "Repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God." In that one-liner, we have an entire summary of the relationship between civil authority and divine authority, between church and state. You see, Christianity, unlike Hinduism and Buddhism see this world as nothing but appearances, something that we just have to kind of shed off to finally go spiritually into nirvana. Things of this world really don't matter. That's not the Christian approach. That's not Christ's approach. He did say, "Repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar." We're also not at the other extreme of Islam, that wants to take religious law, Sharia law, and make it the law of the state. No, Christianity recognizes that indeed civil authority has its realm of being, if you will, and authority. The temporal and the spiritual have their own spheres of influence, and we have to give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. But remember, even Caesar belongs to God. So we must pay attention, of course, to this world, participating in it, recognizing the authority of civil entities in our life, but not so much that they become the God. No, there is only one God. Worship the Lord. The Lord is King, our responsorial psalm said. And at the end of our first reading, did we not hear, "I am the Lord, there is no other"? So yes, repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, but to God what belongs to God. I think it's important for us to understand this one-liner of our Lord a little bit in its context. For you see, the Pharisees, along with the Herodians, were trying to come to Jesus and trip him up, to make him make a mistake so that his authority would be undermined. They come to him with a rather perplexing problem, thinking to themselves, well, if Jesus says it's okay to pay taxes, then his followers are going to see him as a traitor to the Romans and no longer follow him. If, however, our Lord says it's not okay to pay taxes, they can just go to the Roman authority and say, this guy should be arrested. So you see, they think they've got him. Yet, in Jesus' one-liner, he affirms the role of the state and its authority, but also, as I said, reminds us that everything belongs ultimately to God. This, I think, is a reminder to each and every one of us, most especially as we get closer to the election season, that, believe it or not, God can work through government, especially good government. In our first reading from the prophet Isaiah speaks to us of a pagan king, King Cyrus, who was king of the Persians, who knew not the one God, but he was generous and he was just. He ordered the people of Israel to go back after 70 years of exile to Jerusalem and rebuild the city, rebuild the temple, begin to worship their God once again. And Isaiah rejoices in this fact because he sees, even in this action of a pagan king who knows not the one God, he sees God working through Cyrus. He sees that in good government, God can even work miracles. That's why, my brothers and sisters, that's why it's important for you and me, according to our ability and our state in life, to get involved with our society, to be involved in the public square to the extent that we can, to the availability that we have, to the occasions that are ours. At the turn of the 20th century, Archbishop John Ireland, Archbishop of St. Paul in Minneapolis, said this. He said, "If great things are not done by Catholics in America, the fault lies surely with themselves, not with the Republic." Yes, we need good rulers, good government, good politicians that are going to be instruments of God's providential care, so that politics can become what St. Paul told us in our second reading, a work of faith and a labor of love. I know. Politics can be a bit frustrating to us. I know how difficult at times it can be. We all know that things don't always work according to what we want, and the government doesn't always function as we would wish. But it seems to me that if Catholics, and if any believing Christian, remove themselves from the political realm and from participating in it, someone or something else is going to fill that gap. Often, unfortunately, evil will fill the gap of Christian indifference. So remember that one-liner. Then repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. That means one important responsibility that all of us have. It means that we have to take advantage of this opportunity. In a few weeks, those of us of voting age have an opportunity to enter into that booth and participate in our political society. If you want good government, you and I have to elect good government. If we don't elect anyone or refuse to participate, or if we don't participate with our faith in the voting booth, we're going to get what we vote for. Yes, we're going to get what we vote for, or sometimes what we don't vote for, because we're not participating as we ought. The Catechism of the Catholic Church puts our responsibility this way, for all Catholics. It says, submission to authority and co-responsibility for the common good make it morally obligatory to pay taxes, to exercise the right to vote, and to defend one's country. That line from the Catechism flows from the one-liner of our Lord that came forth from our Lord's lips himself. Repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. Our politicians are to be serving, promoting, and caring for the common good. So if we want good politicians, we have to vote for them. That's one of the reasons why we can't vote for or support someone who thinks it's perfectly okay to kill the unborn. That in no way, under any circumstance, can serve the common good. We can't support someone who wants to redefine marriage, expand euthanasia, promote embryonic stem cell research, because those things are so intrinsically evil that not only do they not promote the common good, they treat the common good as the common enemy. There are other issues that we have to deal with as well in our civil society. Issues about the poor, the economy, foreign policy. But you see, those issues are distinct. They're debatable, and they don't necessarily involve intrinsic evils like abortion would be. So when we enter into the voting booth as a believing Catholic, we don't put our faith like a hat on the side and then enter the booth. No, faith has to be brought into every decision that we make, especially when it comes to voting. We're not single-issue voters, no. But we are priority-issue voters. And we all know those issues that are of most priority to us as believing Catholics. My brothers and sisters, well, our Lord only gives us one line. He gives us a treasure, a wealth of teaching. Repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Let's participate in our civil society and take advantage of this opportunity to vote. Remembering, however, that we also have to pay to God what belongs to God. And that is everything.